What's up, everybody? It's Tyrell of the One at the Line podcast here with the second installment. We have some interesting topics here as I'm recording this. It is a Wednesday morning, right before a lot of game twos are happening today, and we have some interesting matchups. And that'll be covered in the next episode, of course, which will probably be Saturday. I'm going to try to stick to a Saturday and Wednesday schedule. I think that just works best. And I'm trying to stay consistent as possible. We have some topics to start out with before I get to all the game ones, as they have all been played. First off, Alvin Gentry. The news broke right after I recorded the podcast on Saturday that the Pelicans have dismissed Alvin Gentry. I kind of expected this. A lot of rumors are expecting Jason Kidd for the job, and I think that would be a great fit with him and Lonzo. Lonzo gets a lot of comparisons to Jason Kidd, so I think that would be the best fit personally to get Lonzo on track. But Alvin Gentry, I think he's a good coach. I think the problem with him is he's not a player development coach, and that team is so young that they need someone like that in there. Alvin Gentry could be a good coach on like a winner type of team or like an older team, but on this one it's not a good fit. So next, Mike Conley, who had to leave the bubble for the birth of his son. He is back, and he is supposed to be back for Game 3 of that series, which, what a Game 1 that was. I can't wait to get to that. Also, some news. The draft combine this year is probably going to be held virtually, which is interesting, at like remote sites where the players can come and perform their combine. Now I want to get to this. Salah Mejri, as many of you knew, he got into an altercation with a security guard during the finals last year, and a lot of news has broke as the security guard has filed a lawsuit against him. A video of the body cam footage released, and basically the situation that happened, for you guys that don't understand, is the Raptors had just won, and Salah came from the crowd. Since he is the owner of the team, he came down to try to celebrate with his team, and the security guard, I guess, didn't recognize him, but he didn't ask for any credentials or anything, so he just pushed him away, which was very unprofessional, and he did it a couple times, and that's where the altercation kind of started. And of course, Salah, he's not going to stand there and get pushed around, so he pushed him back. In this lawsuit that the security guard is filing, he's saying that Mejri punched him twice, but there are a lot of witnesses saying that never happened. I don't expect anything to come from this. I think this is just a case of someone trying to get money out of a billionaire owner. It was all on the security guard, really. Salah could have not pushed him back, but he was the one that initiated it, and he's a grown-ass man. He's not just going to get pushed around for no reason when that's his team. Now, we're getting to the good stuff here. The round 1 playoffs. Wow. These game ones were absolutely incredible. Most of the games were all great. I'm going to start with the Bucks versus the Magic, as that's probably the most controversial thing. As the Magic went without Aaron Gordon and Michael Carter-Williams, two of their best defenders, and they went out and they beat the Milwaukee Bucks, the best team in the NBA. Orlando just played great. Vucevic had a monster game. But the Magic just wanted it more, honestly. The Bucks came out and they looked very nonchalant. Like, they were taking the Magic very lightly. And the Magic just came out, and Markelle had a good game. Vucevic was eating. Gary Clark looked good. James Ennis played good defense on Giannis. Even though Giannis put up a lot of stats, but Chris Middleton didn't shoot well. Eric Bledsoe was a non-factor. It was just, I don't know. The Bucks just came out. They weren't hitting shots. Their defense was very lackluster. I think they very much underestimated this team. If I'm a Bucks fan, of course, I'm not worried. I think they just have to come out with a sense of urgency, really, and they can't take this Magic team lightly because as depleted as the roster is without John Isaac, and we still don't know when Aaron Gordon is coming back, they fight. They fight. They're a very gritty team. They have those pieces that, like Markel and Vucevic and Gary Clark, Wesa Wundu, James Ennis, they have all those pieces that are going to come out. They're going to play. Evan Fournier is going to come out. He's going to put up buckets. Terrence Ross, the same thing. You can't take this Magic team lightly, even though you are miles better than them. You can't just play them like you're playing a regular season game in the middle of the year. That doesn't matter. I'm still predicting that the Bucks are going to win that series in probably 5 games. I can't see them coming out like that again, honestly. But for Magic fans, I'm proud. I would be proud of your team. You guys played great in that game 1, and you never know what's going to happen, especially in the bubble. The Bucks have been struggling lately, so you never know. Anything could happen. We're going to stick to the East, and then we're going to go to the West. So I'm going to start out with, I'm going to continue with Jimmy Butler versus TJ Warren. The matchup happened, and it was pretty fun to watch until the fourth quarter, probably, where the Heat pulled away. Jimmy Butler scored the last 11 for his team. In the first half, it was very back and forth. The Pacers would go on a little bit of a run. The Heat would get up by 4. Pacers would come back, go on a 7-0 run. It was very good. TJ Warren and Jimmy Butler were just going at each other. Jimmy shot worse than TJ, but he was getting to the free throw line a lot more, and he was distributing the ball, and he was playing great defense on TJ Warren, even though he hit some tough shots there. But this first half, Goran Dragic, who is severely underrated, which I'm going to get to him in a second, he had a 2-point first half, and he started at point guard over Kendrick Nunn for some more offense. And he just came out and he was trying to facilitate. And at halftime, Miami's offense wasn't really doing much, and they needed a second score, so they just told Goran to go out there and be aggressive, and he ended up dropping 24 in the second half, and it was incredible. He was giving the Pacers defense just a really hard time. Victor Oladipo went out with some sort of eye injury in the first half, which very much hurt the Pacers as they had to roll with Edmund Sumner, who played all right, but he's no Victor Oladipo. So I don't know the status on VO. It's not really known at this point. But I hope he gets well soon so we can have a fully healthy Pacers team versus the Miami Heat. Next series, I want to go with the Raptors versus the Nets. This was probably the most boring game to watch. The Raptors had control the whole time. The Nets made it interesting a couple times, bringing the lead to 8 and 6 a few times. But in that fourth quarter, the Raptors just came out, played solid for 8 minutes, and closed it out. It was incredible. The Raptors, they are the real deal. I think they have a really good chance to get to the finals. I think after what I'm about to talk about next, I think they're definitely going to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, but they just played wonderful. Karis LeVert, he had 15 assists, which you haven't really seen from Karis LeVert. I think he is probably going to get dealt in the offseason. Not because he's a bad player, it's actually because he's quite the opposite. He's very good, and there's a lot of value in a player like Karis LeVert. But he just doesn't fit alongside Kyrie and KD unless you want to have them come off the bench. But also you have Dinwiddie, who's probably going to come off the bench, and it's just not working. If I were the Nets, I'd try to offer some of your young pieces, like maybe Jared Allen and Karis LeVert, since you have DeAndre Jordan, who KD and Kyrie really like. Maybe you trade Jared Allen and Karis LeVert and try to see if the Wizards would give you Bradley Beal. Maybe. Or just a better fit. I was I saw a trade package today. It was, I believe it was Karis LeVert and Torian Prince and a first round pick for Nemanja Bjelica and Buddy Hield. I think that would be a great trade for both sides. Karis LeVert is a young piece to go along with De'Aaron Fox. I think they would play well off each other. Kings get Torian Prince, who gives them some wing depth, which they really need. Hield gets out of there, which he clearly wants to be out of there. Bjelica is going to get replaced by Torian Prince, like I said. And then you get an extra first-round pick, and hopefully they can help your rebuild get along, as we're unsure about the Kings' future at this point with all the Marvin Bagley stuff, and I don't know. But we're not talking about the Kings. They are not in the playoffs. As I'm a Celtics fan, this next part is gonna really hurt, you know. So we had the Sixers versus the Boston Celtics, and it was a good game. Joel Embiid came out, and he was being really aggressive. He scored 11 points in the first quarter. He had a lot of touches. He was dominating Daniel Tice. He had no idea what to do with them. Then you get to the second quarter, and Joel sits most of it. And then the second half, Joel got the same amount of shots as Alec Burks. I don't know if this is a matter of the Celtics were playing the lanes good enough, which they were. The Sixers were getting a lot of turnovers, trying to feed Embiid down low, and Smart and Hayward and Tatum and Brown were all just denying the ball, and it was incredible. Their zone was really, it was helping them with their weakness with Embiid down low, because they were just, every time Joel would try to get the ball, they would just get in the passing lanes, and he was doubled most of the time. But there is no excuse for Joel Embiid to have the same amount of touches as Alec Burks. There is no excuse. I don't know if this is Brett Brown's fault. I'm going to blame it on Brett Brown. It makes no sense how your star player, the only advantage you have in this series, really, Embiid, comes out, dominates. He hit a step-back three at the end of the shot clock, fading away from Daniel Tice, and he was right there. He had a bunch of nasty dunks on Tice. He did some post moves. He was dominating in that first quarter. And then he just doesn't get the ball enough. I think that should be adjusted in Game 2, hopefully, because Embiid has to be dropping a consistent 33 points per game for them to win this series. Now we're on to the Celtics. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, they played amazing. Kemba Walker was a great leader. He stepped up big time in the clutch. Now I'm going to go on a rant real quick. Gordon Hayward. I saw a lot of Celtics fans on social media calling for Hayward's throat, saying he's injury prone and that we need to trade him. And I don't know. Hayward is such a weird case because he comes to Boston off an all-star season in Utah where he was creating his own shot. The Jazz were a great team. And when he left, everyone said the Jazz was going to be bad, but, Donovan Mitchell, of course, did what he did. But Hayward was such a good player, all-NBA caliber. Then he gets to Boston, and he snaps his ankle in half off an alley-oop in the first 5 minutes of his first game. Then he's out, and then next season, he comes out, and he's just not good. He had a stretch where he's one of the worst players in the league, statistically, last season. And of course, maybe some of that could be attributed to the disaster that Boston was last year with the chemistry issues. But a lot of it is just Hayward taking that whole year to recover. And then he comes out this season, and he plays great. He averages about 18 points per game, and then he gets a freak injury off a screen from LaMarcus Aldridge, and breaks his hand and is out for 6 weeks. And then you get to tonight, or last night, sorry, and he gets a grade 3 ankle sprain going for an offensive rebound off by stepping on his teammate's foot wrong. I wouldn't declare Gordon Hayward injury prone. He is just one of the most unlucky people I've ever seen, and I don't know what the hell is going on. I don't know if he must be cursed or something. Every time he puts on that Celtics jersey, he gets hurt. He never had injury problems before he got here, and then he gets here, and he just has 3 freak injuries that I don't even know how happened. How do you break your hand fighting over a screen? How do you twist your ankle going for an offensive rebound and stepping on your teammates? How does that happen? I've never seen something like Gordon Hayward's story ever in my life. And it really hurts as a Celtics fan knowing that he is such a big part of this team. And a lot of people that aren't Celtics fans are going to be like, oh, it doesn't matter. Gordon Hayward's not that good. Because they're just holding on to last season. But this season he came out and he was that 4th option. And he looked like Gordon Hayward from Utah. But the problem was he just is a 4th option behind Hayward or behind Tatum, Brown, and Kemba. If he was back in Utah last season, who knows? He probably would have put up the 25 that he put up the season before. But now, he comes out and he has these 2 freak injuries this year, and it sidelines him, and it ruins his rhythm, and now he's probably going to be out for the rest of the playoffs. It's a 4-week timetable for his return, but at the same time, his wife is also scheduled to have their baby in September, which by September time is about Eastern Conference Finals time or late second round time. And honestly, I don't think it's worth bringing him back, honestly. He's probably going to pick up his player option in the offseason. We're going to keep him. And he's probably going to either sign an extension with us for a cheaper contract, or he's going to go in free agency. Someone will give Gordon Hayward a good amount of money, because he is a valuable asset. He's just very unlucky. He's not injury prone. All these injuries are unrelated, like a hand, then I believe it was his right leg, and then this one was his left leg, or vice versa. And they just have nothing to do with each other, and it's all on freak accidents. And I don't know how one person could go to a team and be this unlucky. I have been watching basketball for 10 years, and I have never seen anything like this. I have watched numerous amounts of hardwood classics. I've read about the NBA before I started watching, and I would consider myself very knowledgeable about that time, and this has never happened to someone in the NBA, and it's just, I don't know what's going on. Honestly, for his own health and for his well-being, I hope he gets out of Boston, because he must be cursed putting on that green jersey, and I don't understand why. But anyways, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Kemba, they all closed out the Sixers, and they won Game 1. Great effort. Now, without Hayward, they're probably going to lose in the second round. I don't think they can beat Toronto without Hayward. It's going to be a tough series against Philly. And then you're going to have to go against Toronto, who's probably going to sweep the Nets. And it's just, wow, it's, as a Celtics fan, that just hurt. But you can't do anything about it. It's over. And we're just going to see how Tatum and Brown could recover and hopefully step up offensively to try to balance out Hayward out of the lineup. Marcus Smart's going to come in and he's going to do his thing on defense, but he's no Gordon Hayward on offense. Alright. Now that I'm done with that, I want to get to the show that we had with Donovan Mitchell and Jamal Murray. Woo, this was incredible. This was a really fun game to watch. It was probably the best game this season, I think. Definitely the best game in the bubble. But this season, I think it might be number one, honestly. This Jazz team looked just not that good, honestly. It was really the Donovan Mitchell show. And I want to get to another rant when I get to it. But the Jazz just didn't look that good. So now, here's what I want to rant about. Okay. So the Jazz and Rudy Gobert, he is probably going to get a max extension. Purely because the Jazz have nothing else to do. The Jazz aren't a free agency destination. They don't really have that many assets besides Donovan Mitchell to go get someone that's impactful like Rudy on defense. The thing about Rudy Gobert is he is a non-factor whatsoever in clutch time. Period. He does nothing. Nothing at all. Jokic literally made him unplayable. Jokic just stood at the three-point line, ran the pick and roll with Jamal Murray. Rudy Gobert couldn't do anything. Nothing. Couldn't do anything about it. It was just, I don't know. I don't know if they should try to trade Rudy Gobert. But, Rudy Gobert is such a weird case because what's his trade value on the open market? Are you really going to get a nice, solid piece for Rudy Gobert? Is a team going to be out there that wants to give him that max to be their best player? Because Rudy Gobert, if he gets traded, is going to get traded to probably a lottery team, honestly, that's looking for a boost. I don't see him getting traded to a contender because most contenders don't have that many assets that they would be willing to give up. I saw a lot of people on Celtics Twitter saying trade Hayward for Gobert, which the Jazz, I don't think they would ever do that or ever consider doing that. He would be a good fit on the Celtics. They're just what they need, but just no. Just Gobert, I don't know if he's it. I don't know if he's worth that max extension, but you don't want to let him walk because he's still so good on defense. It's just in the fourth quarter, if he's playing a center that can shoot, he is unplayable. And that's just the bottom line. That's just how it's going to be. So now we transfer over to the Nuggets. I liked what I saw from them. Without Will Barton and Gary Harris, they came out, did what they had to do. Jokic was doing great on Gobert, like I said. Not defensively, but, Rudy isn't an offensive player, so it doesn't really matter. Then Jamal Murray, he was alright in the first half, but where he really shined was that fourth quarter in the OT, which, let's just start with that fourth quarter. Jamal and Donovan Mitchell were literally just trading buckets the whole time. Jordan Clarkson came out and he was taking some dumb shots, and Donovan Mitchell just said, "Give me the ball and get out of the way." He needs to try to distribute a little bit more, but he dropped 57 and still lost, so, I don't know what to do about that one. But him and Jamal Murray were just hitting ridiculous shots. It was so fun to watch. I was out of my seat watching it, honestly. It was just offense versus offense, two very pure scorers just hitting crazy step backs, fadeaways, and they were just executing the plays. Then you have Jokic, who got the game-winning attempt at the end of the fourth, and Rudy Gobert just played a little bit better defense on him. Then you go to OT, and the Nuggets dominated. Jamal just came out and was just incredible. And the Jazz and Donovan Mitchell, he was trying to get his teammates involved there, and it just didn't work. The shots were not falling for anyone besides Donovan, really. Joe Ingles was alright, but he had that Jamal Murray assignment, and he was getting killed all night. It was I can't even comprehend what happened to Joe Ingles on defense. It was a slaughter. But the Nuggets came out, did what they had to do. Donovan Mitchell dropped 57, which is third most points scored in a playoff game. And he is the youngest player since Jordan to drop a 55-plus game, which is wow. And just insane. If I'm Donovan Mitchell, I'm going to that locker room and I'm saying, what the hell? What the hell happened? How do I drop 57 points and we still somehow lose? I don't. The Jazz gotta start hitting their shots. Jordan Clarkson needs to stop taking threes from half court with two people on him. Like, I don't know what he's doing. I don't know what he's thinking is gonna happen, but just garbage. Now we get to Rockets OKC, which was honestly very disappointing. OKC just wasn't hitting their shots, and the Rockets were. OKC's defense, not that good either. But their offense was just, wow. Shea was very disappointing. Chris Paul struggled from the field. Steven Adams was really the only bright spot. Him and Gallo were doing good, but other than them, wasn't much. Harden just came out, dominated. So they take a 1-0 lead, and that was without Westbrook. So hopefully OKC can make this interesting, because that first game was just not that good, if we're being honest. Unless you like seeing James Harden just slaughter a team that doesn't know how to guard him. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what happened. I really don't. So, Harden goes up 1-0 on OKC. Now, we get to the game that happened last night. Lakers, Trailblazers. LeBron had a monster performance. I believe I read that was the first 30, 15, and 15 game in the playoffs. But the Lakers just, wow. Just, wow. That's all I can say, really. Nobody was hitting shots. Anthony Davis was hitting his free throws, but he shot like 33% from the field. Danny Green is horrible. KCP is just as horrible, if not worse. Kyle Kuzma was aight, but he shot terrible too. Just, LeBron, he's such a good playmaker that he can't help but pass the ball. So he's just going out there passing, and the shooters are so open, and they're just not hitting anything. Like, Danny Green had a wide open look from the top of the key in like the second quarter, and he airballed. Anthony Davis did the same thing from the same spot too. LeBron threw one of the nicest passes I've ever seen. He lifted it up above his head and then just chucked it to the corner after faking to the right. And Danny Green bricked. Like, I don't know what else LeBron can do. The Lakers need to hit their shots, because god damn, they can't guard CJ or Dame. That was... Dame and CJ just put on a show. I knew coming into it that no one on the Lakers can guard them, but wow. Especially in the fourth quarter. They just came out and they dominated the Lakers. Of course, it was a close game, but Portland was just superior. They didn't even... Their defense is terrible, but they didn't even have to play defense. The Lakers guarded themselves. They can't hit any shots at all. Whether it's open or three dudes in their face. They can't hit anything. It's the same... The Lakers just aren't looking good at all. And they cannot shoot like that ever again. Because if they do, I can see Portland just sweeping them. If they shoot like that every game, Portland is going to win that matchup every time. They have to hit their shots. Anthony Davis has to hit his shots, especially him. And LeBron, I think he just needs to become a scorer, honestly. He just needs to go out and drop 40. At this point, that's all he can do. His teammates aren't hitting anything. Danny Green, KCP, like I said, horrible, terrible non-factors. I didn't even know they were out there most of the time. But Dane came out, he dropped 36, and he scored the last 12 for the Portland Trail Blazers, which was crazy. Then we have the Mavericks versus the Clippers. The refs, I don't know what's going on with them in the bubble. I really don't. They are trash. I don't know. I'm going to start with the first Porzingis tech. How does Chris Tapps have a clean block on Paul George? A disgusting block. And he simply punches the air, which I've seen so many players do that. Draymond Green is an example of someone I see do that. I've seen LeBron do that. I've seen pretty much every NBA player do that. And Porzingis gets a tech because they made a quote-unquote hostile act against a referee because he punched in the direction of a referee. Ridiculous. The second tech was, if not just as ridiculous, even more ridiculous. Luka and Marcus Morris got in a little bit of a scuffle. Marcus Morris really just initiated it. He's being Marcus Morris, starting drama. And he gave Luka a little shove, and Chris Tapps just came over, just like everyone else on the court, because everyone else did the same thing. Porzingis just got in the middle and tried to push Marcus Morris away, so he's not attacking his teammate, right? Just trying to break up the fight. And they hit him with a tech. And that just sucked the life out of the whole game. The game was so good. Porzingis was doing great. Luka had a lot of turnovers, which he ended with, I believe he had like 14 turnovers or something insane like that. But besides the point, it was a great game. And then Porzingis got ejected, and it wasn't even fun anymore. The Clippers obviously won. The Mavs had no chance without Porzingis. I did like what I saw from Maxi Kleber. I really like what I saw from him defensively on Kawhi. Kawhi's just, he's nasty, but I liked the defense I saw. I saw the effort. I liked it. And Porzingis just came out, and I don't know. Clippers, they played like the Clippers. They capitalized, nonetheless, over those technical fouls. They just kept rolling on. Mavs did make it kind of interesting, but after Porzingis got ejected, like I said, it just sucked the life out of the whole game. But, yeah, that's pretty much what happened yesterday. A lot of frustrating things, honestly, but we had some great moments like Dame and Jamal and Donovan, and Harden played great, and Jimmy Butler was great, and the Celtics, Tatum and Brown versus Joel Embiid. But there were a lot of things that I just were frustrating, like Hayward going down, the OKC offense, the Lakers offense. It just a little bit frustrating. But other than that, it was a great day it was a great couple days for basketball, and I liked what I saw. So now we're gonna move on to a segment that I'm gonna do every Wednesday on the episode, which is my personal player of the week. This week, I'm going to go... Now, these aren't going to be the best player necessarily, just a player that I really liked what I saw from them. And just like give a shout out to some underrated guys out there. And this week, I'm going to go with... Wait. Yeah. Okay, so... Sorry, my mind went completely blank for a second. But this week I'm going to go with Maxi Kleba. Like I said, he played great defense on Kawhi Leonard. He was knocking down shots, and he just played great. He's severely underrated, and without Dwight Powell in the lineup, who unfortunately went down in the season, he's been playing a lot of backup 5 and some 4, and he's really good. He's quick on his feet. He has a great jumper. He plays great defense. He's a good rim protector. And like I said, Kawhi's just going to do Kawhi things, but Maxey played great defense. I would just like to give him a shout out there. But that's going to do it for today's episode of the One at the Line podcast. If you enjoyed, please subscribe and please leave a like on the video for more content. Once again, check my Twitter for updates on when the podcast comes out and some scheduling. I'm going to post my schedule on there. But yeah, I've been Tyrell Belanger of One at the Line, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.